Well, I haven't made any videos for a while for various reasons. It just seemed to be a waste of time, I suppose, and I didn't manage to fix up the camera, and I thought, well. And then I started rambling. I had a period of silence, but just lately I've been talking to myself and having long monologues. So I thought I may as well turn the camera on and see if I can remember what nonsense I was talking about and share it. It might be useful. Who can say? And good morning to everybody, if I didn't say that. To anybody, I should say. It's just a release valve for me. But maybe I can share something that might be useful. Who can say? So I was listening to, what's it called now, that channel? John Levi, I think, who's one of these Tartaria people. I suppose you could call him more or less. Most of the stuff that he publishes concerns that. And I'd never really dived into the Tartaria rabbit hole, although I don't dispute the stuff that I've seen is very convincing, and the stuff that I see, the architecture that I see, I think there's a lot of evidence for this, and it seems perfectly reasonable to me that history has been concealed from us, and there's just far too much evidence of it around the world to deny it. And it's pretty chilling when you think about it, because what we have to assume, I think, is that there is a club or an organization or a sect that has retained this ancient knowledge, and we are being supplied with the reality that they choose to supply us with. That's their position of control. They control what we think, what we believe, and they do it through their trickery and their technology as well, which must be well in advance of what we see around us. We know it's more advanced than what we call ancient technology, simply in the matter of stoneworking, when we can find no modern machines that can come close to the precision and finish that was achieved apparently 150 or 200 or 300 years ago. That can't be explained other than by postulating that the technology exists and has always existed, and is in the hands of those who would conceal it. And so if mass concealment is taking place, then it must be behind the veil of the Official Secrets Act. This legislation, whatever it's called in your country, it's ubiquitous, and it's non-biblical, of course, because it makes keeping a secret a virtue and outlaws the truth, which is Jesus Christ. That must be how it's done. And humanity, we have all followed along to some measure because we were not informed, and people have frequented the National Health Service in their countries and seen it as being a beneficial organization created to help us. But really, by putting our trust in it and our faith in it, we consign our minds and our bodies to the people who control that organization utterly. And in making these observations, I'm certainly not claiming that people who work for the National Health Service are evil warlocks and witches, because people do act in good faith, and in the most unlikely places you can find kindness and love, and I'm sure you can find it in the most Kafkian hospital scenario or operating theatre scenario. I worked in an operating theatre for 3 months only as a porter in a suite of operating theatres. It was quite eye-opening. So that's how it must be, really. That we have been foolish with our beliefs and our trust. And these things are being revealed now as our health is becoming apparent, that it lies in our exercise and our nutrition, and I would say also in the will of God, or primarily in the will of God, but maybe not everybody who's listening is a believer, I don't know. Our path to God is individual. There's no one size fits them all, and everybody might be at a different stage in that journey, perhaps. But my belief has been strengthened just more and more, and day by day. Particularly in quite a dark period like this, which I've been in the valley for some time, and being in the valley is a time of great enrichment, even though it's a bit dismal from day to day, or it can appear to be a little bit dismal. So that's the path that I'm following, and perhaps more people are following it. And I have some, as I've said before, I'm quite optimistic about the way things are going. And it's not because Trump was elected, although I don't know. I mean, perhaps that is a good sign. I really don't know. I've spoken before about the danger of lumping everybody together, which I think some truthers err in this direction. We must evaluate a man on the basis of witnesses and due process. And, perhaps Mr. Donald Trump would fail that examination. I don't know. But I don't think we can just assume. And if it's to be assumed on the basis of a past act of wickedness that has been revealed and punishment has been meted out, shall we say, again, cast the first stone, Jesus Christ said. So there was no punishment for that woman, but she was humbled before God. And we can't tell if a man has been humbled before God, because it's personal. But certainly punishment must await, or revelation and identification of anybody who's been involved in actions of wickedness, using this secret knowledge against the children of God, to harm them, to control them, to reduce their awareness, which can be done by messing with the water supplies, or irradiation, or the diffusion of false prophetic messages disguised as art forms. We have to be as wise as serpents and as meek as doves. I don't know whether Jesus Christ himself says that. So, we do need to keep our wits about us, us men in particular. And I'm not suggesting that women have nothing to bring to the table here. In fact, I'll mention something about that has occurred to me recently. But it's our rational capacities that we need to focus on with a certain diligence, I think, because we are the shakers and movers of the world. Really, it's our role to do that. And if we leave these things to women, we have to be wary because of their mobile and mercurial nature, changeable nature of a woman has been known forever. La donna immobile in the opera. I don't know how it goes on. Come il buon vento. Like the wind, perhaps, but so it is. But ungrounded women, and by an ungrounded woman, I mean a woman who's acting independently, so she's not bound to any man. Because of their sort of random nature, I suppose, they have shown themselves to be in a position to reveal some of the works of darkness in innocence, perhaps sometimes. They are somewhat difficult to control, not just for us men on the side of the Lord, but also for the enemy. There are women in their camp too. So I think women have sometimes played quite an important role in helping us to see. And I suppose it has been, you could say, the opposition of women against men, the way that it's been weaponized, that has led to this isolation and this sort of monk period for a large number of men. And when a man's alone and his incentives have been cut off in all sorts of directions, it may be that I'm not the only one who's been having a bit of a think about matters. And if you're going to think about things, then you're going to need some point of reference. You see, this is the problem. If we're seeking the truth and we don't have Jesus Christ, then we are walking in the opposite direction, because Jesus Christ is the truth. Now, I know that because it's written in the Bible, and I trust the Bible only. But if I were to say this at the Truth Juice meeting, there would be a lot of objection, because the witches and the warlocks of the world do not trust the Bible. And they will say, no, the Bible is a book of control that has been created to hold us down and to limit our potential. It's exactly what Satan said to Eve, actually. But the Druids and the heathens and the pagans that bring this argument to the table can find no probative literature to support their case that would even light a candle in respect of the solar radiation of the Bible. It's so powerfully supported. There's just nothing that will come close to it. This is what people, I think, they miss that. That's what I thought about the Druid when he was telling me about all the things that he knows, and it's verbal information handed down. Well, in Italian, or in Latin, is it? They say verba volant scripta rimant, or riman, I think. I don't speak it Latin. Verba volant, so the spoken word flies away. scripta riman, but the written word remains written, remains there. That's why it's so important, you see. Because you can say something and then deny it. I found this with the witch. She would make an assertion one week when she came to do the cleaning, and I found it interesting, and I would spend time perhaps researching it in the Bible and trying to understand it. And when I asked for clarification later on, she seemed, on occasions, she couldn't remember having said such a thing, or would say that I might have misconstrued, or that she might have just been speaking fatuously. That's the problem with saying stuff. But when it's written, then it stays there, you see. That's why we need the Bible so desperately. There's no other written source in the world that everything else pales in comparison to the authority, you see. Now, if there is no authority in the Bible, then we are lost. And every man and every woman just bow their head to the dust and cry, because we have no measuring stick. But to me, that's just unthinkable, because the ordered nature of the universe, of the world and the heavens that is revealed unto us is so perfect. God bless.